Welcome into Numbers Don't Lie, powered by Sofascore. Nico Cantor, JayDee Dyer in the building, and we're taking this one straight from the production room here to on set. Which one of these two incredible talents was the better teenage prodigy? Of course, Kylian Mbappé, Lamine Yamal. We're here on set as our own teenage prodigies. I want to break this one down straight from the beginning, but before we do anything, we're going to give both of them their flowers, first of all, and see where they both are in their respective careers. Because look at them, fresh-faced, big smiles, and I know they had such a big trajectory ahead of them. But Nico, just off the bat, which one? Give me the smile. Which one you going for?
Not better career, better teenage prodigy. For me, it's Lamine, because the pace at which he's on, I don't think I've ever seen it in a teenager. I mean, he is absolutely incredible, almost too fast, really. I wonder what he's got ahead of him. Certainly, we've already named him future Ballon d'Or winner, future multiple Champions League winner, XYZ. He's not only won with Barcelona, he's won with the Spanish national team. It is incredible how good this kid is, and we forget how young he is.
15 years old. Could you imagine that he started that age and that early? I mean, what was I doing at 15? Probably just getting myself ready for an exam. But look at the adverse. Of course, Kylian Mbappé has been on his own trajectory. I mean, the youngest goal scorer in World Cup history, the youngest to reach 10 Champions League goals. And we saw him literally blitz and come on the scene from the knockout stages all the way through into the Champions League, from Monaco to Paris, and now, of course, in Madrid. This guy has just been a superlative from the beginning of his career to where he is right now. It's been a decade already we've enjoyed of him, and his greatness has been sustained all the way through. But let's just not get this confused. He really did start with an absolute flurry from the beginning. I know you're going to be big on Lamine, so I'm looking forward to hearing your debate, and it's the reason why you're giving Lamine the nod in this one when you compare them both at 18 years old.
I mean, simply put, look at the amount of games that he's played at, and he has delivered in those games. 46 goals, 51 assists, more than Mbappé at Lamine's age, right? Today, 18 years, 6 months, 26 days. I think we're going to learn in this segment that it's not about how you start rather than how you keep that consistency up for the rest of your career. But just from the very beginning, these numbers, these assists, it is mind-blowing that a kid as young as Lamine is able to take command of matches and contribute. It's one thing to take a couple of players on. It's another thing to have the goal contributions to back that up.
Mbappé as a full teenager was just sensational. Just looking at these stats where they weigh up, man for man, going ban for ban, as they say.
Yeah.
It's incredible just looking at where they both were as teenagers for both their clubs and their countries.
So this is up until the last day that he was 19 years old and 364 days, right? So Lamine Yamal has an opportunity to catch those numbers, but he's already played more games than him. I mean, this is ridiculous, regardless, right? Just don't compare it to anybody else. These are world-class numbers for someone who's 19 years old and 364 days.
And this is why I'm going to enjoy this debate so much, because we are choosing between your Cristianos and your Messis, your Federers and your Nadals. It doesn't really matter if you're MJ and LeBrons. These are generational superstars.
Right.
So no matter which way, we're always going to have one. But as you continue to go on, I really want to understand why you feel like Lamine is you giving the nod, especially when you're talking about the teenage category.
Yeah, definitely. Let's look at other teenage prodigies, right? We got goals per 90 minutes on the x-axis, assists per 90 on the y, and Mbappé ended his teens right there, smack in the middle. Shout out to Iheanacho. Shout out to the playmaker Jadon Sancho up there, and also Haaland. This is ridiculous that he's this far out wide right. And Lamine skewing a little bit more left on this graph is showing me that he's also a different type of player than Mbappé, right? He's a little bit more of a playmaker. He's got that assist component to his game. Not that Kylian Mbappé didn't have it, because at Monaco, so young, he also kind of had to be second fiddle. But he started to become, as his career progressed, especially now, past his teenage years, he's much more of a prolific, innate goal scorer. Whereas Lamine Yamal is looking as well to create and play make, and is falling a little bit closer to the y-axis than he is the x-axis on this graph.
Okay, let's flip it over and look at their big moments, because I think the big moments is really where you're going to add value, especially when you're a teenager and you come onto the scene. We've seen a lot of superstars come on and feel like they're sensational, but this guy right here, I feel has caught the eye because of his ability to be, I would say, excellent in the clutch.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the quintessential Lamine Yamal semi-final against Inter in the Champions League of last season, that was at his prime, at his peak, or rather the best that we've seen of him in his career. And he slowly, almost not so slowly at this point, finding that killer Lamine Yamal that made us get off the edge of our seat, that made us say, hey, this kid has a serious shout of winning the Ballon d'Or. He's that good at this age, and he came in second, right? the performances speak for themselves. I mean, Rafinha, Pedri, Lewandowski, Inigo Martinez, and Dani Olmo. These are the teammates that surrounded him. I mean, Rafinha's year, right? Again, another one that also deserved the Ballon d'Or. But now it just feels like Lamine Yamal, after that injury that kept him out for a little while at the beginning of the season, he's nursed his way back to that Lamine Yamal we saw in the Champions League semifinal from last season.
I just think, even though I want to give him his flowers, when I look at this, I see world-class talent throughout. Right, and there's no two ways about it. Doesn't mean that Lamine isn't a standout. It means that he's associated with greatness, which is fine.
Okay.
But I want to take you back. 10 years ago, we were sitting here talking about a similar young man coming out. And I know that he's had his different criticisms in one way and elements another, but his sustained greatness on the pitch is something that can never be critiqued. And I love the fact that when we was in pre-production, I'm going to give my flowers to my boy right here. He gave us the nod to not only were these goals in terms of in the Champions League, in his breakout season, were they all in the, not only were they not in the group stages, they were actually in the knockout stages. So you're talking about you're playing against the highest level of competition, the Man Cities, the Dortmunds. In those moments against Juventus, he could be relied upon. And that's when I feel like he came out of his shell, as a, no pun intended, as an absolute new level in terms of who he was and what he was going to do in world football.
Yeah, it was against City and against Dortmund. They lost in the semi-final against Juve. And you could see that the heat map isn't as strong.
No.
Lamine Yamal's heat map is much more bold because he got a lot of playing time. And listen, I get that you got world-class talent surrounding Lamine Yamal at Barcelona, but this team, because it was underrated, because I don't think anybody expected Monaco to not only win Ligue 1 that season and also get to a semi-final of the Champions League, but the players went on to become superstars.
They did.
Some of them, not all of them. We're missing Bernardo Silva.
We're definitely missing Bernardo Silva, who should have been on this list. I mean, the Sofascore rankings, we'll have to go back and look back. But Falcao at this moment he was sensational. I mean, Mendy went on to have a great career in his own right. Obviously, went a little bit left towards the end, and Lamar and Bakayoko. In those times, at this moment here, with Fabinho, who was arguably the best defensive midfielder in world football, and went on to have a stellar career holding down that position across the fort for a number of teams across Europe. This team right here is what we call criminally underrated for how good they were in their prime. But Mbappe's breakout was something short of sensational. And I think about, when you think about those breakouts, you need big moments. You need to unlock a new level. You need to showcase what you can do. So yes, the French titles are one thing. The League Cups and the French Cups are also fantastic. But also making sure that you showcase for club and country. And that's what I feel like what separates these two as wonder kids. Because we've seen the European Championships and where Lamine was just really ignited the world as a teenager. But let's not forget that Mbappé has scored in a World Cup final. He has really showcased what he can do. And that's why you have to put him in the conversation with these other young players that have been excellent from the second that they birthed themselves onto a pitch and really showcase what they can do. But these are youngest players ever to finish top 3 in the Ballon d'Or. Now, we already crowned him a future Ballon d'Or winner. No doubt about it, Nico, right, in terms of what Lamine's going to do. But I do want to highlight this name right here because he was, when he broke onto the scene, I don't think I've ever seen a teenager like this in terms of R9 and what he's able to do. If injuries never stopped him, he arguably would have been maybe the greatest player ever. And some people still say to this day,
yeah, he still could be.
He could be the greatest player that has ever played.
By the way, shout out to my Latinos in 2 and 3 over here, because up until a certain time, only Europeans could be nominated for the Ballon d'Or. So pretty incredible to see Ronaldo Fenomeno and Leo Messi in 3rd place. But it comes to show you, these guys didn't win it.
No.
Right?
No.
But Lamine Yamal just being up there 2 years younger than the rest of the pack is pretty incredible.
I mean, just look at the breakdown in terms of what he's doing for the Sofascore rankings, the highest rated player, of course, top 5 leagues in Europe. He has really separated himself in terms of his consistency, his decision-making in the final third, and now impacting games. Some people question whether or not the start of the season was maybe his best start, or maybe he had a little bit of a slow start. But there's no two ways about it that he's picked it up in terms of his consistency and especially his goals and production in the final third.
Yeah, if he didn't have pubalgia, which is a recurring injury, by the way, it's not something that you get over like maybe even a broken bone or something like that, right? It's a chronic injury that a lot of players suffer with. I wonder how much better these numbers would be. And he's first in many of these categories already. It just comes to show you how influential he is to this Barcelona team. And obviously, they signed him to a new contract, right? That was the whole question at the beginning of the season. And he's entered this new age of his career as Barcelona's main guy. Remember 2 or 3 years ago, he was just an up-and-coming La Masia player. And I feel like he has just catapulted into a new, different stratosphere of teenage prodigy.
I want to make sure that you put your neck on the line because I know how big you are on Lamine. So this is your cool down the camera because we're going to have to make sure that we give the audiences our clear decides in terms of where we're living here. So tell me exactly why Lamine is the person that you're choosing for this as we look at some of the historic Ballon d'Or winners.
Yeah, listen, is he going to win a Ballon d'Or before 23, before Ronaldo, before Messi? Perhaps. The pace at which he's at is incredible, like I've never seen in a teenager before. Maybe that's not necessarily a good thing, but the question that we're tackling at the top of this segment, who is the better prodigy, the better teenage prodigy? And there are few players that have come up through football so quickly. The rise has been so intense, meteoric, that's why I tend to choose that. But we're going to start looking and comparing at a lot of these players at where they were by their 21st birthday, right? Lamine Yamal still has a way to go to his 21st birthday. This is Messi, Cristiano, Ney. Ney played a lot of games, and how's he doing right now? Mbappé and Lamine Yamal. Let's check and extrapolate where he would be if he continues at this pace through to his 21st birthday. That is a crazy amount of goal contributions. Obviously, you have to go out and do it. But it's more than he has now, right?
So I'm going to give you my call to action.
More than double than he has now,
I'm going to give you my call to action as to why I believe that Kylian Mbappé is the person that's right for this conversation, because we can talk about projections and predictions, and that's one thing, but I've seen a wonder kid or two not quite make it all the way through. This guy right here is the proven commodity. He's already shown what he's done. His value has already been proven and tested in this league. And at every level, from the second he showcased who he was as a teenager, in a Monaco shirt, in a Paris shirt, and of course in a Real Madrid shirt, he has really proven to be the man himself. Now, I will say something that he has done that Lamine hasn't had an opportunity to do yet, and that's scoring a World Cup final. When you do that, when you showcase what you can do for your country in the biggest moments, and you can lift that coveted trophy that only Pele has done as a teenager, that is why I believe that this guy right here is the standout candidate when you're talking about the conversation between teenage wonder kids of these two. But this projection is scary in its own right. 222 goal contributions before 21 years old? Forget about it.
And, I mean, it comes to show you that you look at Messi, you look at Cristiano, that are the two GOATs of the previous generation. You don't need to start at a blistering pace like a lot of these guys do. This is now games played right by the 21st birthday, and it tends to pick up. But Lamine Yamal, again, is this the problem? Is this where you probably fly too close to the sun way too early? Because at his age right now, he's got 159. But by his 21st birthday, he's projected to finish with 327 games. That's almost 100 more than Neymar.
Can I say something? I think this is too many games. I really do. And that's another conversation for me and you to enter another time. But as a teenager, that's a lot of mileage on your legs before you've hit 21 years old. It makes me ask the question as to whether or not he's ever going to have the dedication that Cristiano has. He's going to have the dedication that Leo Messi has. Because it isn't just their consistency on the pitch, it's what they do off the pitch as well, which has proven their careers to be so great for so long.
It's difficult to answer this question without taking into consideration what Mbappé has already done past his 21st birthday. But if you gave me Mbappé at 21 years old versus Lamine Yamal at 21, for me it would be very difficult to go against this man. Like, look at the amount of games. There's players that, if they had this sort of career, it would be an extraordinary career. This kid's putting up these numbers in theory until he's 21. It is going to be a certain conversation at some point, right? Because especially in the modern age, when there's so many tournaments, so many new tournaments that you've got to play, it's that might take its toll later down the line for some of these players, and we're not there yet. We might need to wait 10 or so years to answer that question.
World Cup year, so no doubt about it, a lot of these questions are going to be answered. I think it's an incredible opportunity for him to unlock a new level and maybe add a little bit of value to this debate. But more importantly, we want you involved in this debate. Is it Lamine? Is it Mbappé? You make the decision. You let us know who's the better teenage prodigy. And finally, we can close the page in this debate.
Hey, thanks for watching this video from Numbers Don't Lie. Be sure to catch our show every Monday at 5 p.m. on YouTube. And for news and insights from leagues all around the world, including Serie A, EFL, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.